And what's happening? We're back. Hope everybody's well. It's like we never left. This has actually been the longest clip of not doing the show. It's been like a week and a half. So what's up, Gary? I missed a couple of shows with work, unfortunately, but still kicking around. Okay, fair enough. Yo, Debo, what's up with you, bro? Going off today. Come on now. Debo, is that you? Or is New York Comics you? Hey, Dom, what's up? How did I not see you at the Biohazard show? You were at the show. Hey, Buck City Films. All right. Flint, Michigan. Wow. Damn. What's going on? What's going on in Flint, Michigan? You know? Yeah. Gas mask. Hey, welcome, gas masks and hand grenades. Looking forward to the entire crew minus Camacho. Well, good. You come to the right place. You know? Dom wasn't there. Is that right? ER Friday. Is that right? You were in the ER? Ouch. Hope you're all right, buddy. What's happening in Scotland, Robert? Listen, bro. You know what Father's Day Sunday? Listen, you know what? With the Father's Day shit and all that. It's like the guys in my band. They're like, oh, it's Father's Day. Oh, it's Mother's Day. Oh, my kids. Let me tell you something, bro. I don't give a fuck about your kids. I don't give a fuck about Father's Day. I don't give a fuck about Mother's Day. Yo, this is rock and roll, bro. This is rock and roll. All that other stuff is stuff. You don't want to be in a band with me, man. Nuh-uh. No way. I'm just busting your balls, Dominic. Don't start crying out there, bro, in Queens, man. Bring your kids to work day. You know what? Speaking, we got a lot to do today. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about. This one goes out to all the fathers and mothers out there who I just insulted. But I do say that if you're in a band with me. It's like, yo, don't tell me about any of your fucking kids, bro. We're fucking playing rock and roll here, you know? So, let's see. How about this guy? What's up?
What's up?
You're lucky you're not in a band with me, bro.
I got 3 father husbands in my band too. I know your pain. I know the struggle.
The struggle is real.
How about this nice background for a change instead of being in the box, you know?
It looks like you're green screened.
I know. That's like that's like a weatherman, you know?
Hey, you know what? Let's just jump right to it, all right?
Let's do it.
Everybody jump. Okay. Speaking of jumping, right? Here we go. Photo of the day. Let's not even fucking josh around here. Let's not even fucking boom. Photo of the fucking damn, dude. Photo of the day. There it is. All right. What can you say? You know? Photo of the day. I'll tell you, listen, you want to know something? Who's this? How do you pronounce this? Thomas Froelich? Too much talk where is forbidden. Let me tell you something, bro.
Wow.
Whoa, let me tell you something, Thomas. Man, you better check yourself, bro. Too much talk?
You must be new here.
You must be new here, Skippy. Let me hip you to something, kid. All right? It's a fucking talk show. And you know what we do here? We talk. All right? Where are you, Thomas? It sounds Finnish, maybe? Swedish? Where the fuck you coming at me from? Oh, Christ almighty. These fucking Swedes. Fucking the nerve of these fucking Swedes, bro. You know what I mean? Start shit with me, man. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we not moving fast enough for you, Thomas? You know? Jesus Moses. Anyway, back to the task at hand.
Yeah.
Here we go. Bam. Does anybody know what this is? Can anybody guess what this is?
If you don't, you're in the wrong place, I think.
Right. Anybody? Yes, back to more important things. Is it Aerosmith? I'm back in the saddle again. Is it the Frank Zappa reunion? Is it the Bio reunion? You're dumb as fuck if you don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Biohazard, man. And it was
Yeah, it
incredible.
is.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is actually the Sunday night. This is the second of 2 nights.
Yeah.
And my God, what can you say?
That was great.
What can you say? They brought it back hard, you know?
That was great.
Gotta love that. Gotta love that. Bobby wearing the incendiary device shirt. It's pretty cool.
How about that, bro?
Look at that.
You know, if my band is getting this kind of exposure and the record's not even out yet, God knows what's going to happen when the record comes out.
You know what? It was such a great. I mean, we had 2 openers on Friday. We had 5 openers on Sunday.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, we'll save that for another time. I mean, holy cow! Like what a show! And you know what? So good to see those guys again and hear those songs again.
Let me ask you something. This expression you just used, "holy cow."
Did I say holy cow? Holy cow!
You said, holy cow! What are you, Phil Rizzuto? Where does this come from? This term, "holy cow"? Is it literally like the cow is holy cow?
These are all Sunday shots as well. Look at beautiful colors on these.
Yeah, these are great.
And you got, I mean, just killing it, you know. So good to see Evan back up there.
Yeah, it was great.
And my God, look at him. He's a freaking beast now.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. They were great. I spent a lot of time with them, man.
Oh, you were like a hummingbird buzzing around that for 2 days there, you know. And
it was more than 2 days, man. It was 6 days, you know, because, you know, here's another shot. If you see what's happening on the far right there, you know, I'm shooting them for the I'm shooting them for the as of yet announced project. But it'll be announced with much fanfare at the time. Yes, Larry Kelly. Yeah, man. We had a good time with them. We shot on the day off in between the 2 shows. Me and Larry Kelly and a couple of the guys. You know, I was shooting him for this said project. You know,
too many fun things to talk about. That's going to be amazing. I can't wait till you drop that on everybody.
Yeah, I got some great stuff. It's going to be a blast. Be great. It was a great trip. And then I gotta say, this kind of segues into it's my girlfriend's birthday, right? So I gotta shout out the love of my life, Rochelle Lynn, whose birthday it is, right? My witchy woman, Rochelle Lynn. So last night I figure, okay, you know, let's do something nice. So we went to go see The Cure at Madison Square Garden, right? So in between making out with my girlfriend for her birthday, we actually watched The Cure. And I got to tell you, ask me how The Cure was.
How was The Cure?
You know, funny you should ask. After getting my ass kicked by Biohazard, like, you know, wrong side of the tracks, and, you know, like I went to The Cure, man, and it was like the difference between driving a Maserati and like then having to take public transportation, man. It was like what the fuck, man. And I love The Cure, you know, I love The Cure, and they went on at 9:15, and it was like, 9:15 is like. I go to bed at like fucking 10 o'clock, bro. So it was really long, man. So we split at like 11:15, and they were about to do all the hits. So we left before they played all the hits. But
wow, there was no 11 curfew for the guard. I guess they paid the money.
I know, it was weird, man. It was weird. It was a bit weird.
I mean, people worship that band.
Yeah. Like, so once again, happy birthday to Rochelle. I love you.
Happy birthday, Rochelle.
I love you, and I'll see you later, alligator. So yeah, I mean, Sean Daly said, I cannot do arena shows. Not the same minute. I tell you, and you want to know something? The tickets were fucking expensive, man.
I can only
The
imagine.
tickets were expensive, man.
I got an arena show coming up. I got a stadium show coming up. I got Metallica Pantera's coming up in June.
Yeah,
you know,
who, Metallica and Pantera?
Yeah, at the MetLife. So I had to go for that one, and I got a pretty good seat, so it won't be like I'm all the way in the back. I can't do that.
Yeah,
I want to feel a band. I want to feel the fire, the whole experience.
Put your feet to the fire.
Exactly.
Are those birds in the background? What are you?
I got everything. I got airplanes. I got birds. I got squirrels. I got it all here.
What do you need? I got airplanes. I got birds.
We even got woodchucks here.
I'm getting heat. I'm getting heat for.
Where is forbidden?
Yeah, talking all this shit about moms and pops, but we have to hear an ear beating about your honeymoon. Good one, RS. Yeah, good one.
Listen, we bring the romance as well as the hardcore here.
Listen, I'm just trying to cover my ass here, bro. All right. Help me help you. All right. I'm just trying to cover my ass here. All right. Listen, I know it's a fucking drag, but could you help me out on this one? Yeah.
Oh man.
You know what? Here, just for that, you get this. This is what Here's what the goth girls do for entertainment. They go to Vampira's grave, right here. You see?
Where is that?
It's in Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Okay.
Buried. That's where she's buried.
Wow.
So, yep. And they go there and they take this picture with that like angry face, goth girl face.
The goth girl face.
It's like the equivalent of like hardcore dudes going to like,
Oh, like mean mugging, at Raby's grave or something,
Yeah, Vinny in front of Vinny Stigma's building or something, Anyway, it's all good. Just yes, Eddie. Oakland represent. It's going down. Enough nonsense. I'll see. Hey, isn't the Dead playing over there today?
Yeah, Dead and Company's right next door. In fact, I think I'm going to walk over there and see they got the whole village over there, and it's pretty tribal. I mean, I know it's not hardcore, but when you think about it, it's a very similar community vibe that they do, and that they've actually. I got to get a grip here. Oh, for fuck's sake!
You know what I got to do? I got to go to rehearsal tonight. We're doing one more High and the Mighty rehearsal for Sunday's show. Paris Mayhew's coming to the rehearsal tonight from Agros and Cro-Mags. He's going to do some songs with them.
This is going to be such a blast, this show. It really is.
That's this Sunday, by the way.
And there's some really good bands on that bill that I'm excited to see again. So,
right on. All right.
It's going to be fun.
Well, Eddie's there. Don't let the Grateful Dead, don't let the Deadheads kidnap you, man. And sell you into slavery.
Oh my God! I'll be in a tie-dye sweatshop somewhere.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
See everybody.
Well, there you have it. Steven Messina, Hardcore Shutterbug. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. I'm sorry if I've insulted anybody. I will try harder next time. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, which I'm actually wearing today, and Upstate Records. They're a New York-based DIY independent metal and hardcore label. Founded in 2017, they broke into the scene with their inaugural 26-band compilation in 2018, and since then have churned out over 80 releases in their brief 5-year history. In 2023, look for new releases by Mark Rizzo's new band Revenge Beast, who are playing on Sunday. Carl from Earth Crisis' Freya, he will be coming on the show. Fury of 5, who we just played with Biohazard. Angry Corpses, and a few more surprises that are in the works. Check them out at www.upstaterecords.com and use the code STONE10 for 10% off. Come on now, the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as the style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and, believe it or not, social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rollet, Ringo Starr, and, of course, Agnostic Front. Information on online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and, of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guests, starting with our guest on. Hold on a second. Everybody okay in the chat room? That's right, yo, shouting out my cousin Alan Dubin. What's up? What's up, Doob? What do you say? Blood, that's family right there, literally. Hey, Donald, good to see you, man. Here we go. Let me clear the deck a little bit. A little bit. Here we go. Whoa. Here we go. Today's guests are members of Forbidden, the American thrash metal band hailing from the San Francisco Bay Area. They have been credited as one of the big six of the Bay Area thrash metal scene, along with Exodus, Testament, Death Angel, Laz Rocket, and Violence. First up, here to talk to us about the band coming back together after many years, please welcome founding member Craig Locicero. Hey, man.
Yes. Insult me. Give me your best New York shit.
That's the spirit.
I've been watching.
Right. Good. How are you, buddy?
I'm really good, man. I'm really good.
Go ahead.
You fire away, I'll answer.
You are in San Francisco?
Actually, I live in Hayward, which is about 10 miles below Oakland, but it's all, it's a suburb, man. It's all part of the San Francisco greater Bay Area. And when you tell people, it's funny, for years and years, dude, I'd go to other countries and I'd tell them, where's Hayward, or they say, where's Hayward? It's below Oakland. Where's Oakland? What's in the Bay Area? Where's the Bay? Where's San Francisco? Oh, it's all San Francisco. That's what they think of it as. So you're in New York, but you live in a suburb of New York, I'm sure.
No, I live in Manhattan. I live right. I'm in the middle of the shit, bro. I'm in the middle of the shit. I took the fucking train last night, the subway to Madison Square Garden to see The Cure, and the subway in Manhattan in New York. It's basically a rolling mental institution homeless shelter these days. So it's like if they took all that shit that's going on in San Francisco and put it in the subway. That's what's going on in New York. It's crazy.
That's going on everywhere. Sad to say.
Yeah, it's going on everywhere.
Any big city is going to have just a flux of homeless and the downtrodden.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. Let's chop it up a little bit. We'll bounce the ball back and forth. Let's set the table with, how did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your life?
No, man. I grew up in my dad was a history professor at UNLV. He passed away about 91, or I think it was 91 or the beginning of 92. But and my mom was like, volunteering all the time for, community service, helping people, working at the health department, president of the League of Women Voters in the 70s of Nevada. So I came up and my brother he turned out to be an architect. So I came out of nowhere. I'm an adopted kid. So they didn't know what to do with me. They didn't have a fucking clue. And I just liked heavy music my whole life. My favorite Beatles song was Helter Skelter. So I just gravitated towards things that were heavy, and they didn't know what to do. So eventually, when I moved to the Bay Area, I talked my mom and my stepfather into getting me my first guitar when I was like 14. What was
kind of the first music that you heard even before you picked up a guitar that spoke to you?
Oh, I mean, well, like a lot of people, I'm not going to say something completely original here. I'm going to say the Beatles, and I still think the Beatles are the best. Where I just read people talking about, oh, they don't really have songs. That's all just hype. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? They changed culture. They changed the world. Like if you don't have to like it, but you better respect it. And the Beatles were really the beginning of it for me. And then, I really started getting into heavier stuff like Rush AC/DC, fucking, you know, and then the Black Sabbath and, you know, Iron Maidens and Judas Priest, all that stuff kind of came in 81 or so, 80, 81. I started delving into like heavier stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, it was interesting what you said. I do believe personally that there are certain artists that it doesn't matter what your fucking opinion is about it. They change the face of modern music. So when it comes to the Beatles, the Sex Pistols, you know, even Nirvana,
Stones. Yeah, even Nirvana.
Even Nirvana. Listen, whatever your opinion is kind of irrelevant. They changed the face of the music of the music world, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can go through, you know, you could draw, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, like, you know, Little Richard, you know, and then Elvis steals from him and whatever. So onward, so on and so forth. And you know, I'm just like somewhere in that fucking tree. I'm like a little leaf in there, you know?
Yeah. The lineage, right?
Mhm.
Why did you gravitate to guitar, and how did you go about picking up your first guitar, and how did that get going?
That's actually funny because I wanted to play drums, but my mom was like, "Oh no, that's way too loud." And then I'm like, "What about bass?" And then my stepdad's, "Well, I know how," because he had 3 kids that were in a band called the Soul Connection. I have a African American stepfather. He actually passed away last year, but he had 3 kids, so he knew what bass did to the house. He's like, "No, no, no, not bass. It's still guitar," you know. So it ended up being guitar, which obviously was the right instrument for me. And I vicariously played drums through all the amazing drummers that I've only played with great drummers in my life, and I'm very fortunate in that way. So I just gravitated towards guitar because I had to, and then riffing came easy for me. Writing came easy for me. You know, I'm very unorthodox, and so it's just what I do. It's just become like who I am. You know, I can spit out a riff like nothing.
What was the first guitar you got, or it was, you know, what was this is always good. Like, what was as a young teenager, what was the first gear you had?
Yeah, well, it was an Ibanez Blazer, and it was wood grain, and I chose a wood grain Ibanez Blazer for a reason, because in the music store there was all these guitars with all these colors, and I looked at this thing and I said, I don't want I literally, this is how I used to think. I don't want the color of my guitar to influence what I'm doing. So I just want to start on that one. And it was just like this wood colored, it had a black pick guard on it, you know, Strat body. And I still have that guitar. My friend actually gave it back. He bought it. He found it at a pawn shop, bought it, and then cut into it and tried to make it into more of like a, you know, like a RG kind of Strat body. Added pickup. It only had one pickup on it. He had cut into it and everything.
Yeah,
it was pretty wild.
By the way, Tavo says, "Greetings from Lima, Peru. We are waiting for Forbidden." Cheers, Craig. So
2024 might just be your year, Peru.
Yeah, that's rumor has it. Yeah, 2024, big things happening in the Forbidden camp. So, at what point do you sort of kind of look for like-minded people and start a band, and how did it come together, and what came together?
Well, I only had one like-minded guy in high school. His name was Sean McMullen. He was a crazy drummer, and he was like he would have been phenomenal if he would have kept going, but he had anger issues. But he stopped. Well, actually, he stopped once I started Forbidden Evil with Rob Flynn, and that's really the story. The story is that when I was walking around my high school, I had a copy of the Merciful Fate EP, the whatever you want to call it, Nuns Have No Fun or whatever it is. And I was walking around with this kid saying, "Hey man, I know a guy who likes that same shit that you like." And that guy was Rob Flynn. And I ended up going to his house the next day and looked at his record collection in his room, and he had all the shit that I wanted and then some, neatly packed in, like, you know, the little plastic covers all the way back.
Sure.
And I was like, huh, there's a dude that likes the shit that I like. But Rob was I had just started playing guitar. I mean, I literally probably.
Were you guys in high school together? Was this high school?
He went to the high school in Fremont. Every high school was rather close, but he went to the one just down Fremont Boulevard from me. You know, so you know, and then he lived right behind that high school. But we became fast friends, and
that's cool.
You know, and we were bonded by metal. You know, this is way before. This is before Bonded by Blood. This is after I believe it's even before. Yeah, it was before Ride the Lightning comes out. It was like somewhere after Kill 'Em All, and he
Right.
had the Exodus demo that had Whipping Queen and all this shit on it. Ingves demos, like he had all these cassettes. Rob was a
Yeah.
collector, man. So like, he turned me on to some shit. I turned him on to some shit. I liked Venom. He hated Venom at that time. You know,
Right.
I turned him on to Slayer. He didn't even like Slayer until they put out Chemical Warfare EP. He didn't like Show No Mercy very much. But we all had our things that we were into, you know.
You know, we've talked about on the show a couple of times, and I've even talked about it with, you know, with Lars from Metallica and stuff like that. How in that area when the tape trading scene was really vibrant, and there was could you tell us about that a little bit, about sort of that network?
Well, I was one of the ones who didn't actually do the trading. I was one of the ones who got who you know, I grifted off my friends who got the tapes. You know, I'd be, oh, what do you got? You know, it's the first time I heard like Creator and fucking, you know, it's like, you know, Jim Pittman, who was our original drummer, who was Paul Bosaf's cousin. He was the guy who was the main tape trader that I knew, and he was the one who brought it to Rob, and Rob would give it to me, and it would go around in a circle like that. And I just remember like hearing things like Dark Angel's first fucking demos, and I mean, if I really like scratch the back of my brain, there was some pretty epic things on tape. You know, Hyrax's The Bombs of Death album, or whatever that was at the time, like all this crazy stuff that ended up, you know, sitting somewhere in the laurels and fucking history, you know, in time. And it was just dudes making fucking demos that weren't always recorded like a demo. A lot of them were just boombox recordings that they fucking slapped, you know, drew up a fucking logo, sent it out to their friend in fucking whatever country. And, you know, it's like, I think that those humble beginnings and the excitement of getting something from somewhere else in the world, I mean, obviously you can never replace them. You know, everything is so immediate now that you can never rekindle that special feeling of like, oh, I got this thing from this guy, and that guy turned out to be Schmear from Destruction. You know, it's like, it's just, it goes on, and I miss those days so much, but I don't live in them. I'm not one of those guys who like is so nostalgic that I can't move on. I move on out of every change. I'm ready to move, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and absolutely. And as we've discussed, you know, before, you know, previously, you and I, you know, our theme today is the present and moving on to the future, and with Forbidden, and it's super exciting what you guys have going on. So here is a real early shot, which is just so fucking awesome. This is just really great. This is really, really great stuff right here. I mean, this is worth the price of admission alone. It's the Forbidden Evil. Let's call it the press photo. You know,
right.
Right. And
it was pressed onto a postcard.
Pressed onto, and I just love it. Like out in the graveyard in broad daylight. You know, guys.
The power of Fremont compels us. We're from Fremont. We're from Fremont, dude. And you know, Rob was living in Fremont. I mean, I think he lived in Oakland. He moved around as a kid. But I moved from Vegas to Fremont. Russ moved from LA to Fremont. I think Jim always lived, our drummer back there, Paul's cousin, was the one right behind Russ. And then that's John Tagio, who was the original bass player. I think he was always living in Fremont. But yeah, that's that we might have been together for 2 weeks. And that was the graveyard right on the Fremont Newark border.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, geez, you know, high production value, you know, you can see the makeup.
Is this the original lineup? Is this the first?
That's OG, yeah.
This is this is it. This is And when you first got together, what here you go. Gas Mask the Hanger says that photo is so evil with all the condos behind it.
Yeah.
That's great.
You're like, what do we care? You know, what do we care? It is what it is, and I'm, you know,
awesome.
I don't cringe at any of that stuff.
I
can embrace all of it. Like I don't, you know, we were kids in the suburbs. You know, like I was the youngest. Well, actually, John was the youngest one here. He's a few months younger than I was, but I was definitely only 15 in that picture.
That's incredible, man. And did Russ have that set of pipes right out of the gate?
I think he came screaming out of the womb, is what I think.
That's incredible.
Russ was literally probably, I mean, my God, you know, I never heard anything like it. And that's a story in itself, because I mean, Rob, you know, when I started playing guitar, I wanted to play with Rob, but he was better than I was. I had just started playing. I was just starting to tell you that. And you know, he was more evolved. He played for 2 or 3 years, and he, you know, I wasn't ready for his band. But one day he calls me up. He's like, "Dude, you got to come see my band," you know. And they were throwing around the name Forbidden Evil at the time, but they weren't sure what they were going to call them, so they had a bunch of names, and we had a bunch of names. But I went and saw them in a garage, and he's like, "You're going to be blown away by our singer. He's fucking like Rob Halford and Bruce Dickinson." I'm like, "Sure, you know, right, dude." So he comes and picks me up. I go to their fucking rehearsal. They fucking jam in front of my face, and they're doing like, you know, Hellbent for Leather, Am I Evil, Violence and Force, like all these, you know, great songs.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at this dude going, he's like, I mean, it's sacrilege to say, but he's like, he's got more wind than Rob Halford. You know, I mean, he's got more. Like he could, you know, Rob's got a bunch of other things that no one else has, you know, but Russ was like the raw fucking weapon. I was like, oh my God. So I had to fucking be in this band. I'm just sitting there like, I have to be in this band. So these guys, the other guys go out to get beer and cigarettes and leave me with Russ sitting there. I'm like, hey man, you mind if I pick up this guitar? He's like, yeah, go ahead, dude. You know, so I pick it up and I start playing balls to the wall. We just, me and him play it all the way through. He looks at me and he's like, you know, you should be in this band. I'm like, well, you tell Rob, and then we'll move into my garage. And then this is exactly what we did, you know. And then a week later, I was in the band, and then we were throwing around names, and probably a couple weeks into that, Forbidden Evil was the one we settled upon.
That's awesome. And you guys go out, you start playing shows. I know the lineup changed, you know, within a year or so. Paul Bostoff joins in about a year, right?
Yeah, I think Paul came in the middle of '86 or beginning of '86. We started in March of '85, and then by middle of, or probably not even a year into it. But yeah, there's big drama. Our drummer was a cool dude, but he could not play double bass. Ooh. And Rob started writing the original version of Chalice of Blood, like the original super slow, like it was nothing like what it turned into, but it was there. And he's like, dude, I got this song. Fucking Jim can't play it, you know? So like Jim goes and talks to his cousin about taking lessons to learn how to play double bass. His cousin was Paul. Paul really never played double bass, but he was awfully talented. But we were watching the lesson. We were watching their lesson, and Rob and me just look at each other like, you know, and then Rob took care of that. And Jim was fucking just devastated because his own cousin took the job, and he could only be mad at one guy, the new guy, me. Like I did it. I didn't fucking do it, dude. It wasn't me, man. The rest is history, man. Paul became what Paul is.
Was Paul in other bands that you saw, or did he just come in as like a lone wolf?
He was in other bands. He had a band called Azrael he was doing before that, but it wasn't thrash. It was straight like Queensryche. It was good. It was like good Queensryche type of metal. First time I ever saw him play, I walked into a fucking hall, like a little hall where he was playing drums and singing, wearing red spandex and no shirt, singing "Born to Be Wild." Like Paul was not a thrash dude. You know, the only thrash dudes, the ones that were ground level thrash were me and Rob and Jim Pittman, who was gone. Right. And, you know, Russ came in from LA, so he was like introduced to thrash when he got here. And you know, he fit right in by not fitting right in. So everyone had their own background, but Paul was definitely not a thrash dude. And I was the first guy to ever play him Slayer. And he'll tell you that, you know, ironic.
And Matt Camacho was in the band from the get-go, right?
No, that's in that original picture. That's Tagio all the way to the our left, his right. But yeah, no. Matt came in right after Paul, probably a few months, maybe 2 months or 3 months after Paul. And I went to high school with Matt, and he was the coolest looking dude in school. He got kicked out he was only there for a week and he got kicked out. But I mean, we became really good friends, and I knew he could play bass, and he looked great. We were like, well, you know, and then he turned out to be an amazing bass player, but it took him a little while to get acclimated. But
now, I don't know if this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, that's it.
I don't know if this is the proper timeline, but I feel like Function says Craig, did Forbidden Evil play the show at Centennial Hall in Hayward that turned into a riot? I know Violence and Death Angel played.
No, we played Centennial Hall about a month earlier, and when we played, they didn't secure the stage, and so it was a big stage, and they didn't have it locked down, and we had 3 up, 3 across marshals going, and they all fucking toppled because the stage got pushed back. So our show got canceled as we were playing because it was like, what the fuck do you do now? Luckily, the heads were off to the side, right?
Right.
So,
right.
but then a month later, we were in Europe, and we were playing Dynamo, and at Dynamo, we'd heard when we were playing Dynamo that day, the day that Raw Evil was recorded. We had heard what had happened when Violence and Death Angel played at the Centennial Hall. And it was like, oh shit. And Debbie was managing Violence too. Debbie Abona was our manager.
Yep.
And she was managing Violence as well. And she's like, God fucking damn it. Those fucker, you know, she had a foul mouth, man. Debbie like cursed like a sailor. And she's, I fucking knew it. And then, you know, something happened where Violence fucking incited the crowd because they had to get off the stage early. And it kind of jacked Death Angel up a bit, and then they had drama for years after that. You know?
Oof. Did you guys ended up on the first Forbidden Evil? The first record was on Combat. Why Combat? How did you guys end up on Combat?
Well, there's quite a few labels that were looking at us, but I think we ended up with Combat because at the time they offered us the most money. But more than that, they were probably the most established. They had Exodus. They had you know. Shit that we were interested, the guys that we wanted to play with, and then we ended up touring. Our first U.S. tour was with Exodus, like right out of the gate once we got back from Europe with Sacred Reich. So you know, it was a good home for a while. Last forever, you know, nothing does, but it, for those 2 records, it was fine.
Was that Forbidden Evil and the Raw Evil EP? That those 2?
Oh yeah, that thing too. No, Raw Evil would be considered a EP between the Twisted into Form. Twisted into Form would be the one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And you know, at this point, on Combat, doing your thing, touring, any sort of what you mentioned a couple tours, anything memorable, really memorable, you know, going out and you know, kind of exciting, any sort of South America, Europe, did you get out any place where you were just like, wow, people really love
Dynamo in Holland, the original, because that was like, I think we played the 3rd Dynamo festival ever. You know, the first one had Exodus, the second one had Testament, and then we came around to the 3rd one with Sacred Reich, and it was Armored Saint. Actually, headlining was Sabotage, Armored Saint, Sacred Reich, Forbidden, some band called the Sleazebees, and Holy Moses.
Oh yeah, I remember Sleazebees.
Sleazebees, I think they were Dutch. So you know, it was like, you know, 25,000 people, and they fucking loved us. And when we played Victim of Changes, it just completely changed our trajectory in Europe forever. You know, we were the only band that could really pull off Victim of Changes with Russ. There's nobody else that could sing that song. It would have been weak, you know, puny. It would have been weak and puny. So, but that was cool. A funny New York memory on the second tour was when we played the Ritz, and Russ was famous for doing this, not exactly remembering where he was, and he said, "All right, Chicago." Fucking with Death Angel, and then the crowd's just like, ugh. They didn't boo. It was because we were having a great show. It was more like, oh, you know, he's like, what the fuck, man? It's so funny, dude. Russ had some moments like that were hilarious, but that one I was like, I'm glad they're not throwing anything at us now. They were cool.
Paulie Pork Chop Viz says, shout out to Sacred Reich for taking Forbidden out on tour in 1989. Saw that tour at Sundance in Bayshore, Long Island. Insanity.
Yeah, probably played at like 2 a.m. That place was infamous for fucking holding you until the sun came up. That's why it was Sundance, right?
Yep. Yeah. Make you sit in there all night long in the hopes that you'll buy another beer, you know?
Yeah. Making the bands buy beer.
Yeah. There you go. So the hand plays out a bit. You know, you guys are doing your thing in 1980, and then I guess, you know, the 3rd album that came out, Distortion. How does that that play into things? I know there was a lot. Listen, we all know there was a lot of big changes in the music world in 1981. The whole we mentioned Nirvana before. How did that affect the trajectory? And what's the story with the third record?
Well, I mean, the trajectory of a lot of things obviously did change. Okay. First of all, you got to set the table here. In 1990, we were one of the bigger bands that was about to break. Sure. Twisted and Formed did very, very well. We were going to do a record with Max Storman, the third record. We were fighting to get off Combat because they were trying to push us to make a third album so fast that we were just like, fuck this. We want to finish writing. We want to finish doing what we're doing. So they actually, to their credit, they actually let us off after we fought with them for a couple months.
You know, I was wondering about that because I read about that. I'm like, they just let them off. They just let them go.
Which would have been great. I'm telling you, it would have been great because we were about to sign a deal with RCA, and and it was for a lot of money in that time, and it wasn't just about the money, but they were fucking fully invested and loved the band, and you know, they had a big plan for us. They kind of viewed us in somewhere between, you know, like, I don't know, like somewhere between Exodus and Queensryche or something. They just saw us as like bridging the gap, you know, like something that was like, you know, classic metal, but thrash. What we saw ourselves, they saw us as that. And then we were about to fucking do the deal. And then two things happen. Paul gets asked to join Slayer. Big fucking side swipe. But, you know, we're like, okay, you can't really argue with that. It's Slayer. But then, as we're fucking dealing with that, and our new drummer Steve Jacobs was incredible. We were working him in, and I swear, dude, I couldn't tell you to the week or to the day, but Nirvana's Nevermind dropped, and finally, or at least Smells Like Teen Spirit hit, and it hit big. And when it hit big, the fucking label pivoted because they wanted everything that was fucking Seattle. They changed their whole, and then everything changed. So, you know, it's funny because people will be, oh, you know, what happened to you guys? Like, the same fucking thing that happened to all of us. There was not one band from that era other than Testament who plugged through and didn't fucking at least stop, regroup, change their name, you know, because even Testament almost changed their name, you know, and all the bands, but Forbidden did trudge through, and we did fucking stick to it. Death Angel disbanded. Like, you can go down the line, and we stayed, you know, within ourselves, wrote a bunch of amazing songs that are cataloged on demos, a lot of growth. And then eventually, after I did the tour with Death, I sat in and played guitar with Death in '93 in Europe. And when I got back from that, we got a record deal. And finally, at the end, you know, in '94, we got to record Distortion, which is a big leap, but it's I always call it the dark days of metal. You know, like this is, you know, you only had bands like Sepultura and Pantera, and then death metal and grindcore. There was not, and hardcore was doing well then, but thrash metal, it had lost its luster. In my opinion, it got really sterile. Even in the '90s, like the beginning of the '90s, you could tell every band had a ballad, and they were all fucking doing the same thing. You at least had half the band was parting their hair on the side, you know, all wearing peg-leg fucking jeans.
Like John says in London, it's so true. It's crazy how it shut off so fast. It just, but that's the music business for you back then. You know, it's just,
it doesn't bother me. You know, where a lot of my peers really got destroyed in that, I was like, when I heard, in the '80s, I heard Louder Than Love in '89, and I was like, wow, this is great. And then when a Facelift came out, I was like, man, I'm like, I just knew. I was like, listen, what we're doing is cool, but there's something more earthy and organic in this rock. And it wasn't called grunge. It was rock to me. It was like heavy rock, and it was great. And the world needed to reset. And the collective conscious is going to fucking tell you what's what, and then you're going to have labels jumping onto that. But ultimately, it was like the world needed something that wasn't so rigid. And so I know some people are bummed. They're like, "Fuck, dude, thrash was my favorite." I'm like, yeah, mine too at the time. You know, but
it changed things. It changed things here in New York. It changed for the band I was in too. I was in Antidote at the time. It was like, you know, it was let's it really changed things. Chuck Geo 87 says, I saw Forbidden and Sacred Reich in Milton Keynes, UK in '89, blew us away. That must have been a hell of a tour, man. You know,
that really was. Yeah.
And
They were young kids too. I think Phil was like a few months younger than I was even.
Yeah. Gaskin said, Distortion is a killer album that got somewhat lost in the 90s subversion of metal phase. Jacobs drumming in that album is fucking sick.
Yeah, Steve Jacobs deserves a lot of credit. As I said earlier in this thing, I've played with a lot of fucking great drummers, dude. I've never had a fucking. I mean, it blows my mind if I actually fucking go through the list of them. I'm like, holy shit, I played with it. I was even lucky enough to play with Eric Kretz from Stone Temple Pilots for a while in my band Spiral Arms that Chris Kontos ended up being in.
Right on.
And you know, like these guys are all good at their own game. You know, they all have their own fucking flavor.
Absolutely. So why did it wind? I mean, we got that, but at what point did you say, hey man, we had a good run, or maybe we didn't? Let's take a break. What led up to what was that, like 97? You decided to like
after Green, yeah.
After, which was
that's a funny story. We did Green, which is our most angry and most caveman record. And it really, Green ended up influencing a lot of the influencers later. Like I found out Slipknot and all these other bands were into Green, Lamb of God. That was they liked the old shit, but they loved Green because it turned shit on a dime a little bit. And it was definitely our most blunt force record. But the label came back to us and said, we don't know what to do with this record, but we'd like to put you on tour with Manowar. And I just, at that moment, I was like, I'm out. Yeah. I'm out. Like, if you don't fucking understand, it's the exact opposite of Manowar. This is literally the fucking other end of the world, and I'd had enough. You know, I was like, I'm done. I told the guys, I'm out of here.
You pulled the ripcord.
I pulled the ripcord. The fucking chute went, and I flew backwards. And I tried to fucking do my own thing. But two of the guys who I love, Steve Jacobs, one, and Matt Camacho, were like, wherever you go, I want to go. And I'm like, I don't want to kind of find my own way. But we ended up playing together and starting Man Made God, and which was a very experimental, super heavy, like nothing, like it wasn't like Forbidden at all. It was, but that's what I did. Everyone went in their own ways, but three of us went over here. Tim joined Nevermore, which was great because Sanctuary was one of his favorite bands. They turned into Nevermore. So Tim Calvert did that. May he rest in peace. And so we all kind of did our own thing. Russ did a couple bands with my good friends, but wanted to stay local, didn't want to tour, didn't want to do stuff like that.
But like like art in general, the wave goes in and the wave goes out, right? And eventually sort of, as things boomerang back around, and you I guess it was about 10 years later, you pull it back together, and that's when Steve joins the band, right? And you did the Omega Wave record, correct?
Okay, well, it was 11 years in 2008. It's exactly 11 years because it's been 11 years since we disbanded last time. Now that we're coming back too, which is so weird. But in 2008 or 2007. I saw that movie Get Thrashed, and I was sitting there next to Zetro from Exodus, Zet, and he's like pounding my legs. Oh, see Craigie, they want you back, and I'm like, ah. But by the end of the movie, I had rekindled that feeling of like, I want to play those songs again. So I wanted to reform the whole Twisted Into Form lineup. That was my dream, was to get that, because that was our best lineup. It was the one that was together for the longest with Bo Staff and Tim Calvert. But Tim was a pilot. And he was becoming a full-time pilot, commercial pilot, and he had no time to do shit like that, so he couldn't do it. And then so we got Glenn, and then Paul was going to do it, but then once Testament caught wind that he was going to do Forbidden again, they said, "Hey, we need a drummer to write a new record," and that became Formation of Damnation. So Gene Hoglan came in and sat with us. So our first show, our Bay Area shows, with Forbidden with Gene Hoglan. Forbidden was his favorite Bay Area thrash band. He's my son's uncle. He's like fucking tight. He sleeps right behind me over here when he comes. But Gene came in and did it, and that was that. And then we got Mark Hernandez to come in and play drums, and that lineup toured Europe and did all the Grass Pops and the fucking Bang Your Heads and the Hellfest in 2008. And then we came back,
and that must have been great. to come back and go over there and get that kind of love. Those festivals are just they're great.
It was awesome. It was awesome, and but it also exposed a couple things that needed to be exposed that we needed to figure out.
Sure.
We brought Glenn back in, and it just didn't work out with him, just like it didn't work out the first time. He just got a different kind of personality than the rest of us, so we had to split with him, and that's when we got Steve.
Gotcha.
And Steve ended up being like the perfect compliment to me, more like Tim Calvert, but very much like Steve Smythe. So he's a phenomenal guitar player. Probably knows more about theory and music than anyone I've ever known. And I don't know shit about that, so it's a good combination. I'll throw something completely weird at him, and he'll, instead of trying to explain to me what it is, he'll just go, okay. But when I first started playing, he was like, you're not supposed to put those two things together. I'm like, that's forbidden, dude.
Music.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So from then on, it was cool, But Steve's been great, and so that lineup was the one that recorded Omega Wave, and that's
and doing my homework for the show and revisiting the catalog. Omega Wave, that record just sounds great, man. It's a great sounding record. That record really has some punch to it. It's really great.
Thank you for that. I just got to say one thing about that. The approach to it is why I personally, because I got to produce that record with Tim Narducci, who was my singer in Spiral Arms. We worked together on it, but the thing was, and is to keep it more like old records, even though you recorded it on Pro Tools. I didn't want to fix everything, dude. I wanted it to have some fucking scratches and pushes and pulls, and that's what you hear on that record that separates it from all the new records that are so fucking perfect. I was like, no, I don't want that, because then later it's going to be sterile. Yeah. So now when you hear it, it sounds anything but sterile. It's anything but sterile, and I'm so proud that we had the willpower to fucking not fix everything.
Yeah. I enjoyed it, sort of going chronologically and revisiting the stuff for the show and doing my homework. And then, Omega Wave comes up and it's like, wow, okay, great, good stuff.
We had something to say. There was a lot to say in that time. There was a lot of conspiracy theories running around at that time that seems so innocent now compared to the stupidity we deal with today. But it was a statement about, like, really, that record's a statement about what the internet has turned into, and you can't disseminate what's true and what isn't anymore. Like, there's no way for you to know what's real. So whatever you follow is wherever you fucking end up. And I saw it coming.
Here's an interesting. This is from our good friend and supporter Astoria Lou in Queens. He said, I remember running into Doug Holland of the Cro-Mags in Astoria, Queens in 1989. He played me the Forbidden Evil album. So that album and that stuff was speaking to sort of my hardcore people over here in New York. I mean, it resonated over here on the East Coast.
As much as hardcore resonated with me. And I play punk now with Chris Kontos and the Boneless Ones. Like all that cross pollination, dude. That's important. And to me, it's seamless. I don't believe in categories that fucking hold you back. I believe that you just throw it all in the pot, and whatever's good will fucking, the cream rises. Yeah. So I've always been that way.
Right on. And so when you guys got back together, how long did it last? And why did you take a break again?
Well, when we got back from Metal Fest in Chile, or we were flying back from Metal Fest in Chile, I had a talk with Russ on the plane, and he was just like not comfortable touring, not real happy doing it anymore. He had a lot of bodily ailments. He was a really pretty heavy alcoholic. He had to have drinks to play. He had to drink to even want to go out. And he just told me on the plane, I don't want to do whacking because I don't want to travel for a day or two and then just fly in, fly out, as I'm tired of it. And I said, dude, if we cancel whacking, I'm not going to drag you along anywhere anymore. And he canceled it. And I said, well, that's it then for now, and I thought maybe one day we might take a look, but I had other things I wanted to do. I was doing other music. I was more than happy doing all the things. I'm a creative guy. I'm not looking for fast track to success. I don't want a big record deal. I'm like, I just want to make great music, with the people that I love. So absolutely. I was like, cool, whatever, I'm chasing down my fucking legacy or anything. But so when this all came around, I was deep in doing, I have my band Dress the Dead. phenomenal fucking singer, phenomenal band, great band. And then fucking Boneless One's going over here, and I was happy. And then these offers, you know, start popping up, and I'm like, you know, and even Death Angel had offered us their Christmas shows before I said yes to anything. But when Alcatraz came around, and I said, I don't know, I don't have a band. Like, I don't even, Russ isn't gonna sing. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then but I did know that Norman Skinner, who we'll get to, but I did know that he was good enough to do it. From the moment I heard him sing one of our songs, I heard a guy who sounded like himself singing one of our songs confidently and fucking great. And I was like, oh, but I didn't want to fucking jump into that thing. But when Alcatraz made the offer to do a 35th anniversary show for Forbidden Evil, I literally, I'm sitting right here and I just look at my computer, looking at the email, and I just push my chair back. I'm like, the universe is telling me I have to fucking do this. And Norman has to be the guy.
It's a tough spot though that you were in, because it's like you have a guy, you know, with legendary pipes who did all the other stuff. You don't really have another guy in place yet. You're gonna need you're thinking you're gonna need a drummer too, or were you already thinking like, well, fucking Kontos has been on me? Were you thinking? I mean, we're gonna bring these guys on after the break.
Yeah, no, he could tell it from his point of view, but from my point of view, I've been great friends with Chris for like over 30 years, dude. I fucking love him, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to push it. Like, I'm like, I don't, you know, like, you know, there's a lot of, we're both intense together. We're both, you know, passionate, but we also have an incredible chemistry. So I did call him because, you know, some people ask where was Mark? You know, where was our drummer for the last one? Mark had actually quit the band in 2011 while we were on tour. He had things going on with his family, but we had to cancel an entire European tour. So there's no going back. Even though I played with him in Dress the Dead, there's just no going backwards to that for Forbidden, because the stakes are way too high. And so I knew I needed a drummer. So I actually asked Chris not to play drums, but, you know, would you be interested in trying out, or is this going to fuck our friendship up? So his answer to that was, it might fuck our friendship up. What about this guy, this guy, and this guy? And I already thought of that guy and that guy. And well, yeah, that guy too. So I had actually talked to a bunch of great drummers, and they all were interested, but they all live elsewhere. There's nobody local that's really good enough besides Mark that's available, or Chris. And Mark wasn't available because he can't leave for stretches of time.
Sure.
So I came back around to Chris. I'm like, everybody wants to do it. I'm like, how are you going to feel? And this is exactly what I said. Is how are you going to feel if I'm out there and it's going really well and successful, and I asked you to do this and you said no? Are you going to regret it? And he's all, fuck it, dude, let's do it. And that was how he came aboard. It was a big roundabout, you know, like, I mean, that's how much I love him, dude. I don't want my friendship ever jeopardized with Chris, because we have something, you know, we're born 2 days off from each other. I think he's a year older, but I mean, you know, I mean, we're just, we get along. And that's a big challenge to, like, don't lose your friendships just trying to put shit together.
Yeah,
shit like that's way more important to me now.
That's what I was going to say, is that kind of, you know, as we get a little bit older in this game, and I can speak for myself here, it's kind of important that I'm playing music with somebody that I like spending time with and hanging out with. And it's back to that now, you know, where, you know, I'm in a band now where we're friends. We actually spend time together, and it just makes playing music that much more enjoyable. You know?
And that's what I'm going to say about this lineup, and we could probably move on into your next phase. But there's something about these five guys, and I mean this, that's way more balanced than Forbidden ever was. One of the things with Forbidden for me personally was I had to do too much in the past. I had to wear too many hats, try to do too many things for too many people, and then things just, you can't fucking, the old adage, stick your finger in the dike, which you can't say that anymore, you get canceled. But you try to, you know, you try to like do so much, and it was overwhelming. Something about these five guys together is perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. We get along great. Someone's going to pick up where somebody else leaves off. Everyone's got, you know, Chris brings a fucking ton of history and knowledge and wisdom and big time concert fucking prowess. You know, he understands. So we're going to bring some things to the band that weren't actually present before. You know, and I mean, and fucking Norman, dude, is gonna. I don't even want to oversell him. I'm just going to tell people, he's not going to disappoint you. If anything, you're gonna be like, oh shit, okay, all right. You know, like he's been great at the rehearsals, just outstanding. So
It's all
I'm
very
excited.
exciting. Yeah,
It truly is.
I'm excited too for you. I am like just seeing who's involved, and I was telling them before. So let me take our sponsor break, and I want to say to everybody out there, a lot of people are asking questions, any memories of Lemoore and this and that. We are, for those who are new to the show, we are going to do questions. Towards the end, we'll take questions from around the world. So you might need to repost, but we're gonna do questions. We're gonna do all that. At the last part of the show. So, Craig, I'm gonna take a couple minutes sponsor break. I'm gonna come back with Women of the Pit. We're gonna do that segment. I'll bring you on for that, and then let's bring on Norman and let's bring on Chris Kontos. All right? That'd be great. I'll see you in a couple. And away we go.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in a new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young reader section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
And we are back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guests today are members of Forbidden, who are back together and doing great things. I want to remind everyone, perhaps you are new to this game, but this show needs your support. There's a Patreon page. There's a PayPal address. Please support the show. Lots of stuff going up on Patreon. We do special Patreon-only shows. Please, $2. There's a $2 tier, a $5 tier, and so on and so forth. Please support this show. This show needs your support. Support those that support you. Coming up, I mentioned it before. I will mention it again. Then that this Wednesday, June 28th, is my birthday. It's my actual birthday. I'm bringing Arnie Stone on if he's up for it, and I'm bringing some of the Biohazard guys on as well. So be around for that. And then Sunday, July 2nd, Jeton Damone will be on the show from Christian Death. Sunday, July 9th, Chris Spencer from The Unsane. July 16th, film director Paul Rackman. Speaking of Alice in Chains, he directed the Alice in Chains Man in the Box video, Bad Brains Soulcraft, Sepultura Territori, and of course the American hardcore film. My old friend Paul Rackman will be on Sunday, July 16th. Tim Shaw has been rescheduled for July 23rd. This is the second time he's been rescheduled. If you know Tim, tell him he better not fucking cancel. He better not fucking reschedule again. We're not having it. Wednesday, July 26th, Carl from Earth Crisis coming on. to talk about his Upstate Records release, his Friar release. We'll be talking about that. This has not been announced yet. Something new, something fresh. Josh Jerk from School Drugs is coming on the show. Vic Bondi, August 6th. This has not been announced yet either. Evo from Warfare, the Angelic Upstarts, and the Blood is Wednesday, August 9th. So that said, that's what's up. Once again, please support the show. Hey, Vincent, how are you, buddy? I hope you will. Yes, Arnie Stone's coming on the show. It's looking that way. You know, yeah, man, we got some. Listen, we always got good guests coming on the show. People want to come on the show. It's a good show. It's not bad. That said, let's bring on our. Let me get up the Women of the Pit spotlight. Where is that? There you go. Let's bring on our friends Lori Dawn and Gina Marie. What's up?
Hello, hello. How you doing, Joe?
How was that? How was that Biohazard weekend? Huh?
I'm still on the high from that. Yeah, that was just incredible. So fun. Memories for a lifetime. I mean, to see them play again together for those 2 nights, Friday and Sunday.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. It
was
really
just so
great.
The crowd was amazing.
So fun.
I don't know what I had more fun watching, like people reacting to them or them themselves. It was just such a great atmosphere.
They smushed it. It was great.
Yeah.
Totally blew the roof off.
Skip a beat.
Yeah, it was.
Eddie.
And like I said, I went to the Cure last night, and I was sort of like, after getting like, punched in the face repeatedly by Biohazard. I've been looking at you, these pictures of you, and I'm like.
See, I would have found that very healing. I think I needed that. I needed the Cure after Biohazard. I wish I had tickets.
Yeah. Well, you know what I get to do? I get to go to High and the Mighty rehearsal tonight and scream my fucking brains out. You guys. Yeah.
Screaming is therapeutic. Yeah.
It is for me now. Honestly, when I was back in the day, and all that shit, it was like I really didn't have a handle on it. But now, interestingly enough, when we play and when I do stuff, it's like an incredible release. It's like, blah.
Oh yeah.
Well, because you have so much more anger now. So much more anger.
I don't get that angry anymore about anything. Like whatever.
It's just fun. It's fun to scream along to your favorite songs, or when they're your songs. It's just fun to get all that out.
And it's cool now. And it's cool now. People are starting to know our songs, so there's other people out there going, and so it's like, all right, So
yeah, we were singing along. We were bopping around in the crowd when you guys were
your
playing.
set was amazing. It was
trying to get the fucking record out. It's like everybody knows our songs, and the record's not even out yet. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about. This is a very interesting band that you sent me. I'm trying to find a cool picture. Here we go. Tell us, and we're gonna bring our guest on once we get this rolling. But tell us a little bit about this band here.
God, Laura, you start.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, super excited about this band. So this is a band called Slaves to Sirens. They're a thrash metal band from Lebanon. And they formed in 2015 when their guitarists met at a protest, which, of course, it's Lebanon. Of course, there's protests. So this is their old lineup right now. So the 2 guitarists and the bass player are still there. They just added on a new singer in January. They recorded an EP in 2018, and they have something new coming out as soon as they record the new vocals. So, and they were also the subject of a recent documentary that Gina's going to tell you about.
And I have a clip. I have a little clip to play.
Yes, play it.
Okay, go ahead. Play the music. Play the music, and then we'll talk about the film.
Now I moved it down a little bit to because we can't watch.
And I like how this clip starts out. You had to skip over the beginning.
Yeah. The beginning's like very dreamy,
very cultural sounding sounds that I really like. That's very unique to them, you know. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, and speaking of
they're Lebanese
culture, because
yeah.
they themselves being, you know, women, and the music is not welcome in their culture. So just the fact that they're out there doing this is pretty much an act of rebellion. I fucking
Let's
love
bring
it.
on one of our guests today, Craig. Hey, did you catch any of that, bro?
Dude, that was great.
It was, right?
I didn't know it was female at first, and then I was like, okay. And it's great when you hear like Nervosa is another great threat. You know, they're pretty famous
yes.
out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're good
as well. Yeah. Yeah.
I love protest metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of that, there was a filmmaker who was just looking for music to listen to as she was working, and she came across this band, and just an LA filmmaker, I should say, and decided that she needed to tell their story. So in 2018, she flew out over to Lebanon and started recording them and their music and their journey. And the film came out last year, the end of 2022. It's called Sirens, and it was produced by Maya Rudolph and Natasha Lyon from Orange is the New Black. Yeah. So
yeah. So the
really
filmmaker's name is Rita Baghdadi. So, and when she started in 2018, you know, it was not, you know, Lebanon was pretty quiet. And then in 2019, there was the revolution in October. And then in 2020, there was the giant explosion. So she kind of like juxtaposed the band's formation and songs and songwriting to all the unrest that was going on. So it's
on top of the friendship and their sexuality, and you know, the whole, you know, trying to have practice when the lights are going out, you know,
and just trying to exist as women in the Middle East. So
there you go.
I want to get to the lead. There's a ripping fucking lead that
wow. I got goosebumps. And it's always great when you hear just a little bit of the culture bleeding into the choice of notes. There's just a choice of notes. This is really cool.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Craig. It's the choice of notes there. Yeah, a little bit of the culture for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
There's a scene in the movie where they close up, and they, you know, it's, you know, like our music, there's a woman just screaming, right? And they talk about how women, I guess, just really don't have enough opportunities to scream, but I guess those women don't hang out in our circles because we scream all the time.
Yeah.
My mom fought for those rights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My mom fought for those rights.
My mom too. Hells yeah.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Lori, and thanks, Gina. Anything we need to remind anybody of, other than my birthday show this Sunday?
Birthday show.
by Women of the Pit.
There we go. We'll see you all Sunday. I hope everybody has a chance to come out.
There'll be
cake. Let there be
cake. And there was cake.
Let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake. All right, Lori. All right, Gina. Thanks. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Craig.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was.
Wow. You know, it's crazy. You know, years later, when you, I mean, I assume, you know, for you, when you see sort of, you know, the reverberation of the music and the scene that you were such a big part of, and in some places of the world, you know, it's taken like 30, 40 years, and now you're like, wow, that's going on there. You know, it's like the wave took that, the shock wave, you know.
At least from our perspective of what we get to see, because they don't get exposed, you know. I mean, they're exposed, like they might have been exposed to music, they might be playing the music, but we wouldn't know until, look, it's taken 5 years for this fucking thing to come out, this movie, for us to even hear about it, right? It's just the slow train, even with the internet age, when you're living in the, you know, a country that's going through it.
Yep.
It's just, it's a lot harder to get your word out there, man.
So let's do this. Let's bring on the two. Is it safe to say, you know, the newest members?
The noobs,
and of course, I'm talking about Norman Skinner and Chris Kontos. What's up?
Yay! What's up, guys?
What's up? Noob number one. Noob number one checking in.
Yeah. You know what? I want to start with this. And Kontos, we'll get to you, bro.
Hey, whatever.
You know, so Norman, let's get sort of some of your background, a little bit how it came, but I think that you know, this was sent to me, and I think this is just incredible. Here's you as a teenager, wearing a Forbidden shirt, and you know, and kind of like here you are today. So give us a little bit about your background and kind of like your influences and how this came to be.
Yeah, sure. I can pretty much barrel through it really quick. For me, starting out, you know, being exposed to rock and metal, I was young. Stuff was just, you know, my mom was a single mom. She dated some guys. They'd leave LPs at the house, and I would see, you know, like, oh, what's this? A Love Gun, you know, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. And, you know, so I'd take them across the street to my friend Josh's house, and we'd play it. And then next thing you know, we're dressing up as Kiss for Halloween and trying to get our hands on more of this cool stuff. And, you know, I never wanted to be in a band necessarily or do any singing, but it, you know, it wasn't until fast forward, you know, much later. I moved to California in '85. So I was about 10 years old. So Craig and those guys were already having their band going, you know, and I was like 10, just moving to California at that time. And, you know, I was a junior high. I wanted to play guitar. So, you know, like Craig said, he wanted to play drums and, you know, being a guitar player. I wanted to be a guitar player, and I ended up singing. So sometimes your first choice isn't exactly what it turns out to be. But, you know, I tried to play guitar for like 3 weeks and gave up. It hurt my fingers. And, it was happenstance, man. It was high school. You know, I was a junior in high school. I was hanging out with the right guys. They were putting a little band together to do the talent show. Their singer literally quit on them, I think 2 weeks before the show. And I was the guy in the room, and they're like, "You're singing." And I was like, "I don't sing." Yeah, like, what are you talking about? I don't sing, you know. And but I'm the type of guy, I'm always up for an adventure, man. Like I'm a go with the flow. Yeah, hey, this sounds fun. So I did it, and we got disqualified because all the mill metalheads from our school. So I went to El Camino in Daly City in the Bay Area, and we had friends from Westmore and South San Francisco, South City, and they all came to the show, you know, and they were all stage diving and pitting on the stage, and the deans were up there pulling people off. Oh, and I have video of this, and we got disqualified. We were only allowed to play one of the two songs, and we were like, we don't care. Yeah, man.
That means you won. You won in life.
You went out in a blaze of glory.
Exactly. Yeah. But that one show and that experience, I got the bug. I was like, oh yeah, I want to be in a band now. You know, and I just stuck with it, man. I started doing the same thing that everyone else does. There's like an inbred circle of musicians, and they all end up in each other's bands until the cream of the crop sort of rises and the other ones fall away. That's so right. I was at a bunch of different.
To be clear, not inbreeds, just inbred.
Inbred, yeah. Yeah. And you know, I just kept paying my dues, and I'm one of those guys that believes in getting better and you know, trying to improve. So I never really took vocal lessons. I just would hear myself and watch tape on myself and stuff and be like, I don't like that. I could do that better, and I would just teach myself. And you know, fast forward to this picture, man. I went to my first thrash show at the Omni, and you know, there's this guy named Rob Flynn passing out Machine Head tapes and stickers, and I get to see this band called Forbidden on stage, and it blew my mind, man. It just blew my mind. The ferocity that they were playing with, the Russ's vocals, everything just like floored me as a teen, and I was just like, wow. And I went, and my mom.
So as a young person, as a teen, this is a band that you'd go see whenever you could, and this is a band that you really loved.
This is the only time that I got to see Forbidden back in the day. It was very rare that I was able or allowed to go out with my friends to certain shows and things. I can count, you know, on my two hands the amount of shows and club shows I got to go see, you know, in my late teens. Mm-hmm. So it was a rare occasion, which also made it that much more special. So
right, makes sense.
Yeah.
Kontos, I know you came into the picture, and you kind of could you kind of tell us give us the background of how Norman sort of, I know there was a show, and I actually have footage from that show, but you've told me the story before, Chris. Tell me the story about how with Norman and how he kind of came on the radar screen a little bit.
So we were doing the Bay Area Interthrational, and the caveat there was that you can't play a song from a band that you were in or recorded with, right? So Death Angel would have to play Testament, Forbidden Guys would have to play Metallica or whatever.
That's cool.
So that was a cool factor, or caveat to the whole thing. But when we were rehearsing for the European show at Dynamo, all the singers that we were going to have play were either on tour or we would be meeting up with them, at Dynamo. So we were kind of struggling. Now, I'll probably say I was, because I cue a lot of music off of vocals, So we were doing all these instrumental versions of these songs. So I said to Craig, man, we need a singer down here. We got to get somebody in here to just make it happen, capture the vibe, right? So I suggested Norm. And I said, he's phenomenal. He's a pro's pro. He's got pipes. I've heard him do these styles, So Craig reached out to him. He came down. He learned 12 songs in like no time flat. And we started rocking the songs. He sounded amazing. And so it kind of, and after I heard him sing, I was like, hey, we've got to have him come do the Bay Area show when that happens. So it gets to this point where there's this Forbidden song sitting on the list, right? And that was going to be performed, later when we come back, right? So they decided, because basically Forbidden was in the room, Steve, Matt, Mark, and Craig were all in the room, so they decided to roll through Off the Edge. And I got to tell you, I was in the hallway with Harold O, our world famous photographer and bass player for DRI. And I was like, wow, Harold, listen to this. And I opened the door and I stuck my head in, and Norm's back was to me, but Craig was right in front of him. And I just looked at him and I went, holy fuck.
Yeah, he's all, oh. It's like, and I was like,
fucking Kontos, right?
And I'm
right. Yeah, right. So as the song's over and everybody's like murmuring and just like, holy shit, and I could see that Norm was pretty pumped. He just crushed it. And Craig, as Norm remembers, Craig said, okay, it's not lost on me that he just absolutely slaughtered that song. It's a thing, right? So I just kind of started pecking away at Craig. I was like, bro, and at that point, I wasn't even at all, honestly, even thinking about the drum spot. I was just, telling my boy, like, hey, go get this run right now, dude. I mean, Russ is not down. Here's Norman ready to go. And just kind of kept picking away at it. We did the show in Europe. We came home. We started preparing for the show in the Bay Area. And, one thing that stuck out in my mind was this band Sabotage, right? As a hardcore crossover kid going to metal parties, there was this one song that would always come on, and it was Sabotage Sirens. And kind of fitting with, we were just talking about this band, right? So he had the pipes to sing this song, and this song always kind of shut the room down. I would see all the notables in the room, Gary Holt, and these guitar players and singers would just kind of phase out of whatever conversation they were in and listen to this song. So I was like, we have to do Sirens. I got to play this song because it's very informative to the thrash metal scene. And we did the show. Norman got up and sang Chalice of Blood with Warbringer. And
now,
it shut the...
Go on. I have that footage, so I'll show a clip of that.
Yeah, it shut the room down. It was the biggest song of the night. And I kept looking over at Craig, and Craig, he was slack-jawed, he was like, holy fuck, this is actually a thing. And downstairs after the song, and we were taking a You know, there was like so many people. We had 40 people play that night, 38 songs. And I went into the backstage room and I just said, Craig, if you don't put Forbidden back together, you're a fucking crazy. And
I'm still resisting.
He's still resisting at that point.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
But
so
I saw.
Wait, can I play the clip? Let me play
yeah, bust it out.
Hell yeah. Excellent. What venue is this?
That's the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco. There's about 800 people in there.
Yeah. That's a like world famous San Francisco venue.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I just want to take 1 second to say,
yeah,
everything Chris said is accurate. And I was on the side of the stage, and you could see me singing, you know, the background. I actually jumped up for that. But I'm like watching this whole thing going, and that was the moment. That was the actual moment I said, well, it could be done. Because he doesn't sound like Russ. He sounds like himself, you know, and that's the thing. I didn't want karaoke. That's all I got to say.
Sure. And here's a shot. This is a great shot of Norman and Russ, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Me and the legend.
They used to call him Baby Russ back in the day.
Is that right?
Russ used to call him Little Russ. He'd call him out. There's Little Russ.
Because I looked, I like, we didn't know each other. I was just a kid that would be at shows. And then I looked like, I guess he did when he was a teenager, very close. They called me Little Russ. So
makes
hell yeah,
makes total sense. And you know, Kontos, you get involved, and I gotta say, you know, listening to the catalog, challenges you're facing. I mean, some of the stuff is like, fuck, man, and you know. Like we talked about a little bit, but you know, those drum rolls connected with all those guitar fills. I like what you said.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of landmines there?
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of landmines, bro. I mean, everything is connected to something in that music. You know, there's not a lot of free form space to just, you know, do what you want, right? So, like he said, you know, you don't want to do karaoke. And I want to, you know, pay homage to what Bostaff put down on that stuff, you know, but at the same time, I got to be me. So I'm in that flux, right, where I'm learning all the stuff, you know, trying to transpose it into my thing and put my vibe on it. But still, you know, I don't want to, you know, walk on anything. So, yeah, I'm challenged right now. Definitely feeling the learning curve, as we say, but I'm loving it. I'm having a great time. The band is super supportive and the vibe in the room is super awesome. We're all striving to do our best. Nobody's resting on their laurels. Everybody's like catching themselves on, oh, wow, I never knew that part was like that. Or, you know, everybody's kind of, you know, learning as we go again. You know, it's been a minute since the band has been off. Playing with Steve is awesome. He's fantastic guitar player, and we kind of speak the same language a little bit with, like, he's helping me a lot with counts and stuff like that. And Matt, the past years, has like become such an incredible bass player. He said something to me. He was like, once I got really nice instruments, I really knew I had to start picking my game up, you know?
Right.
So, and Norman, you know, I mean, as I keep, having to go over certain parts and stuff, he's singing the whole time. I was like, Norm, you don't have to sing every time we kind of go over this. He's like, no, I want to. I'm finding all this stuff, and the hidden, like I said, the landmines and stuff, So, and Craig is, I've known him over 30 years, and we've got an incredible relationship and a chemistry musically. And I've said it many times, Craig is the best guitar player I've ever played with. It's exacting, and his solos are lyrical, and
yep.
I love playing with Craig. So, like he said, the 5 guys right now in the room are just savage, and I'm super hyped, man.
Yeah, I love this. I love this shot here. This is a great shot of the band, and Craig. I doing a little homework. The quote, "This is This is not a reunion; it's a rebirth," and I think that's really great. Could you give us some perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I was the one resisting this idea before anybody else. I mean, it's just out of deep respect for Russ, But I mean, see, I told you the story at the onset about how Russ and I met in that fucking little garage. And, I mean, to say it's a reunion when you have that big of change would be incorrect and disingenuous. And I know other bands latch onto the reunion thing. And in some cases it is. Like when we came back in 2008, that was a reunion, right? Because that was like 4/5 of the regular band that started with Forbidden Evil, at least on the album. So this time, I felt very uncomfortable saying reunion. I was like, no, it's not. We're resetting, rebooting, rebirthing, bloody birth, whatever you want to call it. Like it makes way more sense to not even lean into reunion, because I think that is just, like I said, disingenuous.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And the first the first thing out of the gate is, when you guys told me we're playing Alcatraz, I thought there was a gig, like a local gig on Alcatraz Island, but no, sure enough, it's this thing, which I knew existed because I have all the Biohazard tour dates, and there was some chatter about me going out on the road with them, and I saw that they were playing this. But wow, is this the first thing that you guys are doing together, Craig?
No, we're going to play one warm-up show 2 days before this in a little club, sold out in 5 minutes. And it's going to be just like a hot box where we run through the set. Sure. We want to knock the rust off before we knock the rust off. It's not rust anymore. It was just because this is all new to us.
It's fucking nerves.
There's going to be some nerves. I mean, not for me, not as much, but I think everyone's got their own version of it. Like warm-up gigs, man, they're fucking important. But after that, after you do Alcatraz, the important thing is the next step is to come home and fucking write music, because I want to make an album happen next year. I want to write something great. I want to take it to another level and do something spectacular with this group of guys. Like I said, the chemistry is so good. I can't wait till we start putting the rubber to the road and start writing.
Yeah, that's
that picture. Tell them about that, Chris.
Yeah, so this is after one of the rehearsals. We were taking photos because every time we rehearsed, Harold O would for the International, right? He would Harold O would mysteriously disappear. So we were like, Harold, where are you at? So this is like a picture we were just gonna send to Harold, and it happens to be a vision of the future, right?
Good stuff.
That's just
called the happy mistakes.
Happy mistakes.
And this, speaking of the great American Music Hall, give us East Coast people and worldwide a little perspective on what these shows are. I didn't know that these existed. Tell us about this.
Yeah, Death Angel does like an annual Christmas show. They've been doing them for quite a while, and this seemed fitting. Given the history of Forbidden and Death Angel and just the Bay Area thing, and of course people are up our ass about playing locally, And so this was cultivated, and I am super excited about playing this. You know, I was in Death Angel for a little while when they had their tragic RV accident. So this is fitting. This is two bands I'm really happy to, for one, be in Forbidden now, and I'm very proud of my time that I spent in Death Angel. I went to high school with the guys in Death Angel. Mark was my high school president. Cavastani was in the quad 8 periods a day playing guitar. I'm like, what classes do you take, dude? You're in the quad playing guitar all day. So yeah, this is going to be out of control. 2 nights. It will definitely sell out.
Now, so this answers like Eddie from Powerhouse is asking, when's the first Bay Area?
Eddie!
When's the first Bay Area show for Forbidden? This answers that right here.
Yeah,
that's it. Over there.
This is it, Eddie. There you go.
You know, I gotta say, you know, the Death Angel and Forbidden are like peanut butter and jelly of the fucking Bay Area scene. Even though we haven't been around in a while, we toured together in 1990. We did almost 5 months together in between, you know, Europe and the United States, and we lived on a bus together. And they rehearsed. They moved into my rehearsal place in Hayward like years ago. Like, there's always been a history. And with, you know, Rob and Mark and everyone that was in Death Angel, they're all great friends. Andy Gallion, like, you know, Dennis Peppa, Gus Peppa, they're all our brothers. So when they came to us, I got glossed over earlier, but before Alcatraz even was, you know, brought to the table, they were asking us if we'd be interested in doing the Christmas shows. And I was hemming and hawing. I'm like, I don't know. And it was Alcatraz that turned the switch on all of it. Maybe you go, okay, we should be doing this and this and this, and then now time to put the band together, you know. But it was like you know, it took a while for us to come up with a good situation that worked for both of us to do this show, because we could do our own show, we could do our own Bay Area show, we would sell out and all, but there's nothing like Forbidden and Death Angel together. There's just nothing like it. So it just makes sense on so many levels. It's going to be great.
And is it safe to say that, you know, I know the 35th anniversary of Forbidden Evil is coming up. Is the set going to sort of center on that sort of?
It is what it is. Yeah, we're playing the whole record. We're playing it, but we're not going to play it back to back.
Like that. It's okay.
We're going to play the entire record, and we're going to play a couple other songs off of Twisted Into Form, but it's centering on all the old stuff for this one first time through. You know, it's got to. I mean, we're not hiding it from people. If people are like, "Are you going to play this off of Green? You going to play that off of Make a Wave? You going to play that?" No, not this time. Next time we'll play a little bit off everything, but this time it's the 35th anniversary of Forbidden Evil. Duh, you got to do what you got to do. You know? it makes a lot of sense.
What's this graphic? Is this a new graphic?
The album cover, man. That's it. That's 1988's Forbidden Evil album cover, and that is the most I've seen. About over 1,000 tattoos of that in my life.
Okay.
People, that's one of the most, you know, way bigger bands than us have way less tattoos than I've seen the Forbidden Evil tattoo. It's just because it's so iconic. You know,
that's true.
We lucked out with that one. Like, oh, okay. Even if the music sucked, you still got that picture. You know, but luckily the music was cool.
Let me take my last quick sponsor break, and I'll come back and let's take some questions from around the world. Okay.
Nice.
We'll see you in a minute. There you have it. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Members of Forbidden on the show today. They're back. Exciting things happening. Listen, I know a lot of you posted questions early on in the show. Don't make me go looking for them. Please repost them. Anything. It's question time. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We are sponsored by blah, 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 and DTFM Vinyl Distro. Looking for extreme music? DTFM Vinyl has got you. Located on 13th Ave in Fargo, North Dakota, we have the state's best selection of punk, hardcore, metal, ska, oi, and more. Can't make it in? Shop online from anywhere in the country at www.dtfmvinyldistro.com. DTFM Vinyl, where the policy still is and always will be death to false metal. Last but not least, our good friend George and 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them, ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. Want to mention, you know what? Want to mention again, once again, a couple of events coming up. This Saturday, I'm hosting the Wino event at Generation Records. It's a DVD signing event with Wino, who's playing an acoustic set, and director Charlie Patches. This is going to be very cool. If it's free, it is for me. The next day after that is my birthday show. We've talked about that. We're doing a High and the Mighty set with guest Paris Mayhew. I got to go to rehearsal after this show. The month later, July 30th, Bowery Electric. It is Scott Dotino and Steven Messina's birthday bash with Dog Eat Dog, Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. Kings Never Die, Dead Crew, and Serial Poets. Want to shout out Staten Island, the Forgotten Borough. They're doing all ages shows. Cropsey is playing. It's a Shaolin Saturday matinee on August 12th with a bunch of other great bands. Cross Island Connect. You know, we got to support this show. Saturday, August 12th, I will be moderating once again at Generation Records the SSD Control How Much Art Can You Take book event with author Nancy Burrell and members of SSD Control. August 13th, back at the Bowery Electric with The Take, Silence Equals Death, Star Car with Sab Gray from Iron Cross, Ma'afa, and Mr. Pickle's first show in years. Hey, yo, if you're down in South Carolina, I'm going to be down there in Greenville. I'm screening my new film, The Jews and the Blues, on August 27th. I will be down there with my significant other, Rochelle. It is her birthday today. If you're down in that area, I'd love to see you. We're closing out the Greenville Jewish Film Festival with The Jews and the Blues. And then, of course, at Dingbats, way in the future, Saturday, September 30th, spoiler, Kings Never Die, The Take, Ice Cold Killers, and Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. So all that is happening. That said, hey, just want to remind you again, if you have a communication device, which most people do at this point, please follow the show on Instagram at Stone Films NYC. Pick your phone up right now. Follow the show, please. Also, if you're watching a rerun, there is a subscribe button there. Subscribe to the Stone Films NYC YouTube page so you get alerts every time we're doing something. And also, of course, like I mentioned before, please support the show. There is a Patreon page. There's a PayPal address here. The show needs your support. That's the bottom line. And also, there's a super chat function. If you have a question, you could do a super chat thing. The question comes through in color. You go right to the front of the line. So please support the show that supports you. Let me clear the deck. Let's see. Name any questions? Please post now. Let me clear the deck. Let's bring on our guests, Norman, Craig, and Chris Kontos. You know, there was one that came up. There's one that came up way before. I'm going to try to find it. It was, I found it. Hallelujah. Any memories of playing Lemoore in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm trying to remember if we played there twice, but I know we played there with Sacred Reich, and Phil had lost his voice that night. So we ended up getting up there and different people singing different stuff, and I ended up getting up and singing like an SOD song or something. It was a little wild. It was back in my old drinking days, you know. I don't really remember that much, but I do remember it being a great show. I remember going to see. I went back when we Master Twisted and Deformed. I saw Voivod, Soundgarden, and Faith No More at Lemoore, and I met Phil Anselmo when he still had the floppy hair. And it was right before they put out Cowboys from Hell, like little things like that. Yeah, I mean it's that's a storied fucking joint right there.
Yeah, it is.
I'm lucky to say I played there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a legendary place. And interestingly enough, I was right on that sidewalk the other day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot cleaner now, huh? It's a lot cleaner than it used to be.
Actually, it's not. Actually,
Oh,
the neighborhood's bizarre now. It's like the neighborhood. Yeah, it's not a lot cleaner. There's like, it's not. So, yeah,
It's not.
Right. It's not. Nope. Okay, this is a good question, and we'll go for each one of you guys. What is the one song above all others that the guys are looking forward to playing, and why? Kontos, we'll start with you.
I'm a huge fan of the two songs for me that stand out are Chalice of Blood and Through Eyes of Glass. Just for me, those songs were the benchmark that I heard the most when I was, listening to the band back in the day. And then moving way forward, learning and playing some stuff off of Green, that record is a savage. It is just, it's underrated, underheard, and I want to bring some of that stuff to the fold.
Right on. Norman?
So for me, I'd say, I've always been, growing up, Twisted into Form, the song itself has always been a fave of mine. So I'd love, when we get to play that, to actually play that. Moving forward in the future, some stuff off of Mega Wave. I love Swine, Overthrow. Some of those songs are just heavy hitters that I like. But since, doing rehearsals, I would say Feel No Pain has been really fun to do for some reason. That one, every time we do it, just like, that was fun. So looking forward to that one for sure.
And Craig, I know they're all your babies, man, but anything really resonate for you moving forward?
I think Feel No Pain is one that does. I feel like you can always start a Congo line when you play that one. It has a song of that, you can get people. But I love certain songs more than, I mean, of course I know what the hits are and you never ignore those, but I'm always a deep track guy. So, Follow Me is one that I'm looking forward to see what the newer version of that's going to be really great. And, anything off Twisted into Form is always great. So we're just, I can't really pick. It would be politically incorrect for me to fucking take one of my children over another one.
Sure. Exactly.
Nice Carmen Miranda moves there, bro.
Yeah.
Sophie's
Where's
choice
my banana? My pineapple.
Chris, this caught my eye. Could you tell us about what's going on here?
Ooh. Yeah, so some people might know that I took a extended 5-year break, almost 6 years, racing BMX. And these jerseys are race jerseys, and they're sweat wicking, and they're made by my buddy Armand out in Singapore. He's my race jersey sponsor, right? So I hate playing in t-shirts. I've lost a lot of t-shirts because of that. Some of my faves, because they're just a ball of 4 pounds of sweat at the end of the gig, and they get left behind or they get, lost backstage or whatever. So I started wearing these jerseys with Machine Head, and yeah, man, he knocked these out of the park. So these will be my my stage jerseys.
Nice, very
nice. Lasic Designs out of Singapore, man. He does incredible work.
Craig, time to get the merch machine rolling again, huh?
I want in on these ones because I want to make some special designs too, and I want to wear some of that stuff. It's amazing. I love those things.
Really killer.
Yeah, you can just pop it. You just pop the shirt, and all the sweat jumps right off it. It keeps you warm when you're cold when you're hot.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's really cool material, man. They're pretty high end.
Right on. Yeah, absolutely. They are cool shirts. Chris says that I guess that tour came through Boston. Faith No More playing first before Soundgarden. Yeah, I saw that in New York.
Incredible show.
See. Yeah.
Sick.
Oh, here you go. Add Sanctuary. You got the Act 3 tour. Here you go.
Yeah, that was We played Milwaukee Metal Fest with that lineup, and then with Morbid Angel and Deicide playing right before that tour's lineup. We were the headlining for the three things and everything below that. Changing of the Guard, I could feel it that night. Death metal was coming up.
There you go. What else? Let me see. Well, yes, Paul Stone would know. He's a graphic artist. The Forbidden Evil.
Hey, Stony.
Oh, what's up, Paul?
Oh, you guys know Paul?
Oh yeah, he's one of my dear friends,
He's
bro.
really good
I just spent a couple weeks with him over last year at Bloodstock. Yeah, he's a dear friend of mine, New York hardcore supporter, great artist. You know, he runs the Pusshead Art Facebook page. Man, Stony is the balls, bro. I love the guy.
He just hooked me. He just hooked up.
Are we going to see him this summer?
Yeah, he's coming. He's coming. We'll see him.
Yeah, he just hooked me up with Evo from Warfare to come on.
Yeah.
He's the one. You know who he hooked up to come on the show? Abaddon. So that was
nice. Yeah, he did a little work with them. So yeah.
Yeah. He did. You know, just looking at, there's a couple of shots that I didn't. You know, I thought this was kind of cool. Is this? This was kind of neat. There you go.
Hey,
Elias, from Brazil. He makes these things, and
really?
He puts the work into them. Yeah, he actually puts the work in. They're not like, it's not like an app. It's not like,
that's what I wasn't sure. I thought maybe is it corny? Is it an app? It's not an app.
No, he
does all.
He's been doing everybody, dude. I mean, even like Megadeth put up their, you know, put one of his banners up on the Drum Riser. He's done all the bands. He's, you know, he did a little avatar of my wife and myself for Valentine's Day. Elias Thrash, he's super cool, man. He puts in intense detail to everything. You send him a picture of your, you know, your cut or the t-shirt you want to be wearing and everything. I mean, look at the detail on my jacket. It's insane, dude. It's exact.
Nice. Chris Alexander asks, I'm not sure the context of this, Craig, but how do you like playing the old songs in their proper keys? Were you playing them in a different key before?
Like anybody else, yeah. Well, Russ's voice, it was having a harder time hitting the higher highs when we came back, so we were a half step down. And we actually wrote Evil and Twisted Form in E, like, because everyone wasn't thinking about anything else. And then we went a half step down after that, and then I think Green, we fucking played Z minus or something. But, yeah, no, it's fucking killer bringing it back. Like, we're playing it all in the original keys now, and it's the way it's intended to be. It just sounds like better with better guitar tone. Like, everything is so clear and fucking it just jumps. I say it bounces is how it bounces better. It bounces the way it was intended. People tell me, why do you do that? You know, it's so much heavier when you do this, but it really isn't. Because if you wrote that song in E and it was heavy, it still should be heavy today because your intent was there, you know.
That really exposed itself during the Bay Area Interthrational when we started doing these songs in their proper. I mean, it just, you know, you're doing Strike of the Beast in its original tuning by Exodus, dude, and it's biting your head off.
Right.
And there's just something magical and, you know, great about that, you know, and it sounds cool as shit. I'm fucking stoked we're doing that.
By the way, Paul Stone says he'll see you at Alcatraz.
Yeah, buddy.
So this
is I'm finally gonna meet him.
Yeah,
Black Velvet Army.
Once again, man, it's a hell of a bill. It looks like you got Agnostic Front's playing right before you guys. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm so stoked.
Madball's on that bill. Madball's playing that day too. And
dude, I am freaking out about this, you know, the fact that some of my favorite hardcore bands from New York are on this bill. I cannot wait to hoist Stigma up on my shoulders. I am so pumped to see Biohazard. I'm over the moon about this lineup, dude.
Can we put Stigma on your shoulders when you play our set?
If he the funny thing is they're right below us, right? So, you know, hopefully we'll be able to share, you know, side stage, and then likewise for them to watch us, you know.
Yeah, I don't know how it's all going to work. But I do know that we're playing on the main stage at 6 p.m., which is great time before everyone gets too tired, before the day gets too. It's a really good time. I was there I went to Alcatraz last year because my other band, Dressed to Dead, played it, and we played the main stage at like 12:30 in the afternoon. So I can't wait. Like it's going to be amazing. About 25,000 people. Yeah, it's a good one.
looks like a hell of a festival. So,
yeah, it's going to be a blast.
Yeah. So that said, hey man, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Craig, I really enjoyed doing a deep dive into the catalog, and I'm genuinely excited for you guys. You know, just
Thank you, Drew.
just like seeing the history of the band. You know, and Kontos, you know, we've been tight for a long time since, you know, I just, you other guys, I produced the Machine Head old video back in the day in 94, 95. So that's how far, you know, I go back, you know, with Chris, and it's exciting, man. It's a rebirth, Craig, and I'm really happy for you guys. Anybody you want to shout out? Norman, we'll start with you. Anybody you want to thank or shout out on the way out the door?
You know what? I want to thank our manager, Tim Healy, and give him a big shout out, because he is basically like the fifth Beatle of the band, man. He does so much. I've worked with managers. He does manager stuff and beyond. So yeah. Big shout out to Tim.
Thank you for bringing that up, because it passed by me. Yes, got to thank Tim Healy. He was very, very helpful in getting me some great stuff to do homework on, and he really believes in the band and is giving you guys an oomph, and that's so important. It's so great to have that kind of guy. You know, Kontos?
I agree. Above all, Tim is a friend, and that's the most important thing. He's not looking to fucking get rich off us, man. He's looking to make this thing work.
Yeah. Absolutely. Chris, anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, I want to shout you out, bro. New York Hardcore Chronicles, everything you do for the scene, Incendiary Device. You know, you're a huge supporter of the whole cosmic gel that rock and roll is about. And you know, the show with the diversity of guests you have, and you know, we have this little weird kind of connection with the Grateful Dead and the music I've played and the music you like. And you show a great spread that music doesn't have to be confined to a box or a very narrow corridor. And I think that's so important for everybody to realize that, you know, music is the universal language.
That's right.
And you don't need to speak one language, you know, and it's just great to have your show doing what it's doing. And I just encourage people to watch, support, do the Patreon, do everything they can to support Drew Stone.
Well, thank you, man. It is the tie that binds us together. And
it is.
I do it because I love it. And it means a lot to me. And I, you know, it's like, I love music, and it is our universal language. So that was well said. Craig?
Yeah, I second what Chris said. This has been a real pleasure doing it with you, Drew. It's obviously that you're kind of an ambassador, like between the lines, and that's the way him and I both live our lives. You know, like there is no boundaries except for the ones you put up in your mind. The only other shout out I really have is to all the fans. Anyone who discovers this video later or watched it now, or you weren't a fan before, you know, get ready for the next chapter. It's not going to be exactly the same as the old chapter, and you should welcome that, because it's going to be a very, very exciting proposition here that we got going for you.
Absolutely. And anybody out there, you know, want to follow the band? I know you guys just kind of started the Instagram thing, but
yeah, we did. That's pretty new.
But still, that's where the information is going to be. A lot of people are really just, you know, really Instagram's their thing. It's on Instagram. It's @official_forbidden. So there you go. Yeah, Eddie Medina. Yes, we will see you soon.
Yeah, man, I haven't seen Eddie in a long time.
Oakland represent.
Powerhouse.
We'll definitely see you soon. Yep, that's right. Stay creating, people. Absolutely. And is that right, Paulie? Can't wait to see this chapter of Forbidden in Central Florida. Well, listen, everybody, Hector Hernandez, everybody's excited. So thank you, Norman. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Kontos. I'll be in touch, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Hell yeah, bro.
All right, thanks, Drew. See you soon, brother.
Take care. Well, there you have it. Another one in the books. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guests today were members of Forbidden. I hope you enjoyed the show at least half as much as I enjoyed doing it. Thank you, Rockefeller. Tom Raven, you're a little late, buddy. Paul Stone, thanks for hooking me up with Evo, man. We'll get going on that. And that said, next up, a week from today, because we're playing, my birthday show is on Sunday. So the next show here is going to be my actual birthday. God willing, Arnie Stone will come on. We're looking to do that. And we're going to get Team Seinfeld, Evan Seinfeld from Biohazard and his son Sam, and a whole bunch of guests, you know. Thanks, man. It's so weird. It was the longest. That's the longest. It's good to be back, John. Thank you. And it's the longest that we haven't done a show. It's like a week and a couple days, right? It's happened like once before. So, you know, it's good to be back. Yes, Chris Kontos. Thank you. That said, hey, I'll see you in a couple days. I'll see you. We got so much. If you're not here in New York, I look forward to seeing you a week from today. Thank you so much for supporting this show. It's really great. I'm just so honored and grateful that people enjoy the show and I have the opportunity to do something I love. So until then, do good things and good things will come to you.